Andrew Hiller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nearly good afternoon.
Yeah. I'll keep this short in 3 minutes. Don't worry. My name is Andrew Hiller. I'm a college student at Wheaton College in Chicago and living in Portland this summer doing economic research. Before I go on, I'd like to thank the board for letting me testify. This is actually the first time I've ever given a public testimony, and so this is an exciting opportunity for me, and thank you for that. So, why am I here? As brought up in the meeting, TriMet is facing a funding problem. The big question right now is how do we cover the cost? For this reason, I'm excited to be here because I feel like I have information that is relevant and will be helpful for you. Some of what I present might be troubling, it troubled me, but you must know the facts because with correct knowledge, you can correctly act. In 1971, and all the figures that I'm telling you are on the table that I passed out, in 1971, TriMet was subsidized $38 for every Tri-County resident. Since then, this figure has increased six-fold. In 2009, TriMet was subsidized $38 per Tri-County resident. This trend bothers me not only because I'm paying more, but because of another trend I found. As subsidies have gone up, TriMet's fare revenues have gone down. Last year, customer ticket sales only accounted for 17.8% of TriMet's operating expenses. So, I looked into this, I researched other agencies in the U.S., and I want to tell you that while subsidy dependence is common for public transportation, I think it's a mistake that TriMet can't be more self-supporting and use less tax dollars. Here are some examples that I found. The Antelope Valley Transit Authority, which is located 60 miles north of LA, runs 53 buses and sets fares so they cover 100% of expenses at 75% ridership capacity. Of course, the revenue has been cut due to the recession, but if the revenue stays low enough for an extended period of time, the company is willing to recalculate prices to cover costs. Another example of fare revenue that completely covers the operating costs is the New Jersey Transit. NJ Transit, of course, is a legit top 20 public transit agency, and it contracts coach providers for a number of long and short haul routes that boast fare box recovery rates above 100%. Besides subsidized startup costs, both these agencies are running businesses that are actually profitable. The success of these agencies is simple. They know the consumer's willingness to pay and match accordingly. They index prices according to demand. While priced higher, passengers are still choosing transit because it's cheaper and more convenient than driving. In short, I'm advocating that TriMet increase business revenue by better matching ticket price with service costs, decreasing their dependence on subsidies. Now don't get me wrong, I'm a college student, and we've heard testimonies from OPOL of other students who are struggling, and others who just don't have the money to pay fares. So I want to suggest that you offer discounts for those who are qualified, that have financial standing, that needs help, but raise the price for the majority of riders who have a car, who have the money, and choose TriMet voluntarily. Before I end, I would like to point out one more trend that I'm concerned with. Since 1971, full-time employed drivers have become a smaller percent of total employees, reaching the 2009 low that you see on that chart of 40.7%. The money we pay, the taxpayers are funding, the money that the taxpayers are paying isn't funding on-the-ground transit. The more money that we're paying is funding administration overhead. TriMet's growing demand for subsidy, I don't believe, is a sustainable business model, and I encourage the agency to move toward more self-sufficiency by improving productivity and matching ticket prices closer to service costs. Thank you.
Thank you. You met Mr. Jones.
Yes.
But I mean that introduction if you hadn't. Thanks very much for your testimony, and that's not to dismiss your comment.
Sure. Any questions? Or?
I don't think so. Okay. Thanks very much. Blue chip.
And 5 quick points, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I didn't have other speakers address. I I'm Lou with PSU Progressive Student Union and Transit Riders Union. I've seen a couple comments about the public forum part of and I noticed, I think Rick mentioned trying to be flexible about that. The City Council, when we talked to City Council 8 different times in the past 2 years, has 5 slots at the beginning before the City Council meeting. That might be a suggestion. It might also be helpful for the person who's over here to have like a 30-second, when you're close to the end, because you don't have an electronic clock, which City Council does have.
We may invest in one of those clocks.
Well, it's cheaper to have a sign. But in terms of the renaming that happened of Fairless Square to Fairless Rail, some of us with Transit Riders Union still feel this is kind of an inaccurate or perhaps disingenuous name. We call it Fairless Rail Zone. As a possible suggestion, other considerations would be fine, possibly calling it Oscar Grant Zone. Transit Riders Union continues to look for ways to stop the September fare increase and the service cuts, like Bus Riders Union in LA has been able to do twice, and Transit Riders Organizations in San Francisco has been able to do. There is a process, which I believe we've mentioned before, probably with Lynn, of a motion to reconsider. I've looked at the minutes from the last board meeting and would suggest, it looked like, from what I could tell on one particular motion, both Lynn and Steve were skeptical about one of the motions, and that motion failed for lack of a second. So I would request Lynn and Steve in particular to look at a motion to reconsider specifically against the fare increase. There should be no fare increases. I disagree with this hyper, some people should pay more, some people should less. There should be no fare increase. Transit Riders Union, as old board members know, turned in 1,400 signatures from people who weren't able to come to one of these meetings against fare hikes and against service cuts. I gave that to George Passador before as chair. I heard a couple comments critical of the drivers. I wanted to disagree with that. Because the contract negotiations with ATU are currently in mediation, I understand, and it's under negotiation, there's been a lot of criticism from, I guess, libertarian circles against both the healthcare benefits and the pension plan. Transit Riders Union stands shoulder to shoulder with union members and workers for TriMet and against TriMet bosses on that issue. One of the questions I had, and this is my 5th point, is I believe the Tribune has endorsed Tom Hughes for Metro President. We'll see if that's true in the November election as well. And I also believe the Reedville Cafe, and to correct me if I'm wrong, was the location for the victory party in May and the primary for Tom Hughes being Metro President. I'm just curious if any of the other board members who are here today actively support the Green Progressive candidate for Metro President, Bob Stacy. That's all. Thank you.
I think that concludes our public forum. Thanks everybody for testifying, and we will see many of you again, I'm certain. Thank you.